Hi there, friend. I'm so excited to see you on my channel today. If it's your first visit, make sure to subscribe and share this video with your friends or family. Your support makes all the difference. Tell me in the comments which city and country you're watching from. I always love hearing from you. Now let's get started. I first encountered Vanessa at a polished networking event downtown, one of those places where the drinks flow freely and everyone pretends they've already made it. Vanessa didn't just blend in, she captivated. Elegant, composed, and effortlessly stylish, she commanded attention with every glance and word. She introduced herself as a lifestyle consultant, though much of her work revolved around advising small brands on their Instagram strategies and maintaining a modest YouTube channel with a modest but loyal audience. At the time, I was 31, working as a finance operations lead at a logistics company. It wasn't glamorous, but it was solid and stable, something Vanessa claimed to admire. "You're going somewhere," she told me that night, her eyes steady. "You just haven't figured it out yet." We started dating immediately, and just over a year later, we were married at a picturesque vineyard. Though her family contributed, I took on the lion's share of the wedding costs. Vanessa was fixated on appearances, insisting we present the image of success well before achieving it. "Perception shapes reality," she would remind me, as if it were her personal mantra. That first year was filled with optimism. Vanessa could light up any gathering, and sometimes she genuinely encouraged me, though there was always an undertone of pressure. She dismissed my position as merely temporary, urging me to aim higher. When I received a small 6% raise, she didn't congratulate me. Instead, she coolly remarked, "Next time, let's go for 15%. Just half a year after we married, Vanessa walked away from her consulting clients, declaring she was pursuing larger opportunities. She pivoted into building a personal brand, coaching women, meticulously curating lifestyle posts, assembling vision boards. Meanwhile, I shouldered all our financial responsibilities. The mortgage, her car, her insurance, everything. I told myself this was what building a shared future looked like, that this was partnership. But over time, it became clear she wasn't really building anything. She was staging it all. Every element of our shared life seemed constructed for presentation. If I questioned an extravagant expense, say $900 for a styled photo shoot or decorative props, she'd give me a look that silenced any protest. "Do you really want to settle for ordinary, Gavin?" she would say, her words cutting deeper than she realized. That question stayed with me. It took time before I recognized the truth. I was already living with someone average, though I hadn't seen it before. Vanessa was obsessed with appearances. Our townhouse became a showroom, sparse designer furniture, trendy light fixtures, overpriced accents, carefully arranged. She'd spend hours perfecting the scene for a kitchen product photo. Even her meals were picture-perfect replicas of Pinterest recipes. While I was pulling 60-hour weeks at work, my promotion finally came. But the title bump brought little financial gain. When I tried discussing it with her, she barely looked up from her laptop. "You're thinking too small, Gavin. Don't settle for enough. That's such a mediocre mindset," she chided. That summer, Vanessa proudly told her followers she was launching a home makeover series. She ripped out perfectly good floors and cabinets, completely overhauled an already functional office, all of it charged to our shared credit card. "This is content," she explained breezily. "It's really just marketing." I sat down and ran the numbers. Over $18,000 gone in 2 months. When I asked her to slow down, she crossed her arms, exhaled impatiently, and said, "I'm trying to build something meaningful here, Gavin. Why do you always hold me back? You didn't even have a vision before I came into your life." It wasn't just about the money anymore. Her behavior around me had shifted. In public, she was charming and affectionate. In private, she was brusque and distant. At one rooftop gathering we hosted for local influencers, I happened to pass by as she spoke with her friend Chloe. I caught her laughing as she said, "He's reliable, kind of like a financial airbag. Not thrilling, but if I crash, he'll cushion the fall." She didn't know I was within earshot. In that moment, something inside me broke, like a thread stretched too tight, finally snapping. I poured myself another drink and kept smiling for our guests, but inwardly, everything had changed. I felt as if I'd woken up halfway through a movie and realized I wasn't the lead. I was just a background character. 3 weeks later, Vanessa announced she was going to San Diego for a women's leadership retreat. 2 nights at a high-end resort, all courtesy of a sponsoring brand, she assured me. When I asked which company, she smiled vaguely. "You wouldn't know them," she replied. "It's very niche." She packed her designer luggage, slipped on stilettos far too impractical for networking, and left. That evening, curiosity got the better of me. I opened her old laptop, the one she said was too slow for her current work, and snooped, knowing full well I shouldn't. What I discovered made my heart sink. Hotel bookings, credit card statements, a reservation at the Marriott Marquis, nowhere near the retreat venue she'd mentioned. Worse still, there was an itinerary, a tech conference, not a leadership retreat. And listed among the speakers was Aaron Tate, her ex. She had once told me he was part of her past, a relationship that had burned hot but faded fast. Yet, I knew she still followed him on Instagram. I sat frozen before the screen, feeling completely hollow. When she came home, I said nothing. I played along as she enthusiastically recounted her breakthrough sessions and how her vision was finally becoming real. That's when I picked up the phone and called Jack, my closest friend from college, a former financial analyst who now owned an auditing firm. We hadn't really kept in touch since the wedding, but I knew it was time. When I laid everything out for him, he sat quietly for a moment before asking, "Should I start digging?" I nodded. Over the following 2 weeks, Jack and I combed through statements, tracked IP logs, and reconciled transfers. We found a hidden account. More than $12,000 had quietly disappeared from our shared savings during the last 10 months. Some transactions were described as brand expenses. One payment stood out, therapy retreat. But she'd never gone to therapy. I began to meticulously document everything. Screen captures, archived stories, screenshots of bank records, even exports of her Google Calendar. Not to confront Vanessa, not yet. I needed clarity first, I needed proof. If she was laying plans, I would need a better one. Vanessa relished admiration, especially from acquaintances who didn't know her well. That's why she insisted on hosting a dinner to celebrate the logistics merger my firm had closed, a major milestone and a perfect networking opportunity. We reserved a private room at a restaurant downtown. She appeared in a dress I didn't recognize. Probably new, probably expensive. "You're the star tonight," she whispered, straightening my tie as we entered. "Let's make sure we look the part." She raised a glass, playfully joking about how she had to compete with spreadsheets and boardrooms for my attention. Everyone laughed. I played my role, it was expected. Then her focus shifted to Lawrence, my VP, older, dry-wit. She leaned in slightly, her hand brushing his arm. "I keep telling Gavin," she teased, "quit being so predictable. Take a few risks. No one ever made history by playing safe." Lawrence's polite smile faltered. In the car later, I said nothing. Not until we were home did I pour myself a drink and speak. She kicked off her heels and set her purse on the counter. "You embarrassed me tonight," I said evenly. She turned, arching a brow. "Did I? How so?" "You flirted with my boss?" She gave a light, dismissive laugh. "Oh, please. That's just charm. It's how you build rapport. You're overreacting." I didn't argue further. Instead, I quietly tapped record on my phone and left it on the kitchen island. "Gavin," she snapped, "if you think I should be grateful just because you bring in a paycheck, maybe this entire arrangement needs reconsidering. Yes, you pay the bills, great, but that doesn't make you interesting." She poured herself a glass of wine, continuing as she moved through the kitchen. "Sometimes this whole life, the house, the routines, the joint accounts, it feels like a gilded cage. We dress it up so others think we're happy." Without another word, she went upstairs, leaving the recorder behind. The audio was sharp and clean. I never needed to play it back. By then, I had all the confirmation I required. From that evening on, I stopped confronting her. I asked no more questions. Jack and I worked carefully to construct a timeline. Every withdrawal, every transaction, every instance where Vanessa quietly funneled money from our shared finances into her own account. In just 12 months, over $19,000 was gone. We tracked down a business account she'd concealed, registered under her brand's name, funded entirely by my income. Then came the messages. Jack restored deleted texts from an old cloud backup. For months, Vanessa had been regularly chatting with Aaron, her ex. Casual, flirty, growing more intimate. One text caught my eye. "You always knew how to make me feel alive. Gavin's safe, but you were fire." Another read, "When this next raise hits, I'll have options. A girl needs a cushion before she makes a move." She'd been orchestrating this from the start. I scheduled a consultation with Elaine Shaw, a divorce attorney renowned for her exacting approach and steely professionalism. Elaine had handled high-stakes cases before and was known for her meticulous, almost surgical precision. Throughout our meeting, she remained perfectly composed. After I laid everything out, she gave a subtle nod. "Good," she murmured. "You're composed, no rage. Anger complicates things. You want this done cleanly." Then she calmly outlined the next steps. Move deliberately, present a facade of normalcy, and let Vanessa believe she remained in charge. The opportunity presented itself when Vanessa announced she'd been selected for what she called an elite influencer getaway. "Only 15 invites," she said, absent-mindedly twirling her phone. "They're covering all the basics, but I need some money for outfits and extras. Maybe $1,200? That same night, I transferred her the money without hesitation. "Thanks, babe," she said, pressing a practiced kiss to my cheek. "Finally, you're starting to understand. When you back me, we both succeed." "Exactly," I replied, genuinely agreeing, though not in the way she imagined. She left early Friday. Before that night ended, the locks were changed. By Sunday evening, a text arrived from her, puzzled. "Why is there paper taped to the door? My key won't work." I answered simply, "Check your email." 2 minutes later, "What the hell is this? Have you lost it?" Then came the calls, then voicemails, none of which I returned. Elaine had been clear from day one, no more direct contact. Everything from here on would go through attorneys. I had taken time away from work, coordinated with Jack and a pair of movers to gather and inventory every item I had purchased, all stored securely in a rented unit. The bank accounts were locked, passwords updated, security cameras installed, complete with posted notices satisfying all legal requirements. The email she read included a formal petition for divorce, a temporary restraining order prohibiting her return to the property, and an injunction freezing our shared assets based on evidence of financial impropriety and unauthorized withdrawals. By Monday, her social media presence had vanished. Still, word trickled in from mutual acquaintances. "She says you locked her out while she was away for work. Ashley says she's telling people you're having a breakdown." Her version of events was already evolving. Now I was the cold, controlling spouse of old. That afternoon, Elaine called with an update. Vanessa had retained counsel, Matthew Crane, infamous for his aggressive style, favoring courtroom theatrics over substance. Elaine was unfazed. She described Crane as a man who preyed on vulnerability and public sympathy, but reassured me that we had covered every angle. "Let them try," she said. "We're ready." Vanessa hadn't laid eyes on me since this began, and wouldn't until the hearing itself. Yet her every message and unanswered call carried the same undertone. She could feel that the balance of power had shifted, but she didn't yet understand just how far. The hearing began at 10 sharp. Vanessa arrived looking markedly different, hair loosely tied back, a cardigan softening her silhouette, a pale skirt that swirled gently as she moved. Her attorney led the way confidently. I sat beside Elaine, steady, focused, allowing myself only a sense of resolve. Crane opened with force, portraying me as cold, distant, manipulative. He accused me of financial abuse, claiming I'd abandoned Vanessa while she worked to build her business. Vanessa's eyes glistened right on cue. Elaine remained cool, unmoved. When it was our turn, she presented our case with methodical precision. She began with financial records, Nearly $19,300 quietly funneled from our joint account into a shadowy business fund Vanessa alone controlled, without justification. Then came travel records. Vanessa's so-called exclusive Palm Springs retreat. Receipts painted another picture entirely. High-end spa treatments, lavish hotel stays, nothing matching the itinerary she had described. This echoed a previous trip to San Diego. She had claimed she was attending a women's leadership conference, but had in fact met up with her former boyfriend, Aaron. Elaine then introduced private messages between Vanessa and Aaron, flirtatious, suggestive, and discussing a future together. Contingent, of course, on my upcoming promotion and the financial stability it would offer. Finally, Elaine played audio clips, clear, time-stamped recordings of Vanessa speaking in our kitchen. In one, she dismissed our marriage as a polite little prison with nice lighting. There was no charm left in her words. They rang cold and calculating, impossible to misconstrue. Elaine stuck to the facts, never editorializing. The judge, an authoritative woman in her 50s, paused briefly after the last piece of evidence was submitted, then turned toward Vanessa. Even before she spoke, her expression left no doubt about her verdict. Her ruling was swift and unequivocal. This, she declared, was no marriage. It was a calculated financial scheme. No alimony would be awarded. Vanessa was ordered to fully disclose all financial records by week's end. I was granted exclusive use of the house pending further proceedings. Each party would bear their own legal fees. When Crane began to object, the judge cut him off instantly. The narrative Vanessa had tried to spin crumbled completely beneath the weight of the truth. As I stood outside the courtroom talking quietly with Elaine, Vanessa approached, this time alone, no entourage, no pretense. "Gavin, wait." Elaine stepped in firmly. "You don't have to deal with them. Not without legal advice." Vanessa brushed past her, her voice sharp and biting. "Is this really what you want? To drag me through the dirt just because I had the courage to create something while you stayed behind pushing numbers?" I held her stare, unmoved. "You didn't create anything genuine, Vanessa. You built an illusion, and I kept track of every false part of it." With a scoff, she spun around and walked away. 9 months later, everything had changed. The divorce was done. The house, fully mine, and sold for a decent profit. I moved into a small house by the coast, calm, clean, minimal. Vanessa took her car, her clothes, and what was left of a crumbling brand. No alimony, no chance for reconciliation. Her online image disintegrated almost immediately. Once the facade fell apart, so did her sponsorships. The followers vanished too. Jack told me she'd reached out to old acquaintances, trying to revise the story. No one believed her. Then came a message. "Hey, Gavin, I've been reflecting on everything. I'm sorry. I know I made mistakes, but we did have something real. Could we talk?" I didn't answer. A week later, another note arrived. "Things are a mess. If you ever want to reconnect, I could really use a friend." Then a voicemail followed. Her voice wavered and cracked as she admitted her savings were gone, that she missed who I used to be. She wondered if we could try again. I sent the message along to Elaine, as we had agreed, and then deleted it. That was the last time she contacted me directly. Jack later mentioned that Vanessa had taken a position at a high-end consignment store and was renting a spare room from someone she knew. As for me, 6 months after the final ruling, I got a promotion. Business trips became rare. I visit my parents every couple of weekends now. I picked up cycling again, improved my health, and started dating someone new. Natalie. Natalie is a physical therapist who knows that ambition doesn't have to come at someone else's expense. With her, there's no act, no pretending. We just exist together. I used to think freedom meant accomplishment, but I see it differently now. Freedom is quiet. It's resting easy without doubt. It's being able to decline without fallout. It's being with someone who doesn't treat love as a transaction. Vanessa once described me as dependable, her backup plan. She was right about that much. But she never imagined I'd walk away completely, cutting all ties for good. This story has come to an end. What's your opinion? Share it in the comments, my friend. And if you like this story, check out other exciting videos on my channel. I'll say goodbye until the next video. See you.